going to be a shorter show tonight. I have a hard 9 o'clock stop. And I don't always have the whole script in my head before clicking live. I just have a general idea. So let's just see how this goes. I had a very effective, powerful show last night. I decided not to edit it. Last night's show, it was started off really being inspired by Candace Owens, because through studying her career, and it's not as if we've just started there. It has been several years leading up to this. We can see how she is being used, and I believe we can understand the network around her. And I appreciate Jonathan Cooey today, Giggle Home Biological, great show. I think we've done a very effective job at highlighting how Candace Owens she is playing a role. She is a character actor playing a role. There is a woman named Candace Owens. There's a real person named Candace Owens, but there's also an abstraction that isn't real. Candace Owens, the podcaster. The real woman, Candace Owens, it shines through a little bit as Candace Owens, the podcaster, the person that used to be maybe more left-leaning, has recently rediscovered her conservatism or whatever, but just like Jerry Seinfeld playing in the TV sitcom Seinfeld, Jerry Seinfeld in real life does not live in an apartment building in New York City with those three actors next to him. Jerry Seinfeld in real life does not have a kitchen with alphabetized boxes of cereal boxes. Jerry Seinfeld in real life does not, he's a lot like Seinfeld in the show, but he's not really exactly like that. If you meet him, he looks like him. He probably finds a lot of the same things funny. His mannerisms are similar, but he's not exactly that. Jerry Seinfeld in the show, I think, is unmarried. He's a bachelor. Jerry Seinfeld in the show, I'm not even sure he has any kids. Jerry Seinfeld in real life is a little bit different person. Jerry Seinfeld, the show Seinfeld was super innovative. Wow, I can't believe it. I had no plan, and it's just happening. The show Seinfeld is a study of how you need to see podcasters. This is serious business. Now, Seinfeld made people laugh. Sometimes people the day afterwards, if they were fans, they would talk about it by the water cooler. There's still clips out there. But Jerry Seinfeld, the show, at least not in a big way, as far as I know, it's as a show, change everyday politics in the United States of America. Seinfeld didn't wind up speaking in front of Congress about his bad experience. At the top of the muffin store. That happened in this show. Jerry Seinfeld, that show is so central in understanding, and that show made Steve Bannon millions and millions of dollars. And the writer of that show, Larry David, who somehow or another, the funniest thing about Larry David is that he keeps writing comedies and he makes a living as a stand-up comedian. I would go see Larry David just to witness one of the least funniest humans who's ever lived. He's so not funny. I can't tell a joke that actually is funny, that captures how funny he isn't. It's just throwing humor attempts into the void. It'll never happen. But the show Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David sort of plays Larry David. He's not really that person, but if you met Larry David in person, he's a lot like the guy. Looks obviously just like him. Cheryl, and now you need to accept that Candace Owens, this has reached a point now where people actually need to believe that Candace Owens, the podcaster, is Candace Owens in real life. And Candace Owens in real life may not actually be married. Candace Owens in real life may not actually have 4 kids. She probably does. Would you bet your life on it? Would you bet your soul on it that all 4 of her kids are hers? Or that she's ever had a kid? Maybe she's had 5 kids. You don't know. You just, Cheryl's my wife's name. Candace Owens, the podcaster, is a lot like Candace Owens, the real person, but there's a breakage because there's a new abstraction being created for you. Just like Jerry Seinfeld and Elaine, whatever her character was. She played Elaine, okay? And then the funny neighbors and George Costanzas, just like all the characters, including Cheryl Hines, the current wife of HHS Secretary RFK Jr. They're like them in the show. They're sort of like that in real life, but there's differences: where they live, how many kids they have, what their health conditions are, their backstories. They're a little bit different. And what has happened is many people don't watch sitcoms anymore. Many people, people watching movies is going down. People watch TikToks and podcasts. Most people don't even sit down to watch C-SPAN or CNN to watch their leading officials. Podcasts is the new norm. Podcasts. There's semi-scripted, and there are people who sort of play themselves, but not really. Talent agencies started to pick up on the potential future of podcasts 10, 20 years ago. I don't know exactly when, but you need to understand that the talent agencies and the money and the national security that is behind podcasters is at the top right now. There's more concern about Candace Owens, Joe Rogan, and other influential podcasters right now than there is about, pick an actor that you may have liked. Just pick one. Just think of one. And then there's others that have actually transitioned over, such as James Woods or Roseanne Barr. And there's comedians that have actually moved into podcasting a little bit. Actually, Joe Rogan started as a boxer / comedian, and then he was on sitcoms. Perfect example. Now he is playing Joe Rogan, the podcast. And I think Joe Rogan is real life. There's a lot of similarities. He looks obviously the same, like the same guy. He is physically the same guy. He probably does slightly different things. You don't need to know everything about him. He's playing a role, and these are roles which were needed. The system needed a Joe Rogan. The system needed a Candace Owens, people of particular ages, of particular interests, of backstories that capture certain things, and also people who can play the role, who can be trusted to never open their mouth and break character. Imagine if Joe Rogan got in the air and said, you know what, guys, not nearly as many people watch the program as you think. It's a lot of bots. It's a lot of analytics being manipulated in India. And with God as my witness, there's no nukes, even though I get mad every time someone questions nukes. Imagine if Joe Rogan said that. He can't say that. Now, he doesn't actually live stream, so even if he did say that in a studio, it's not getting on the air. However, he could get access to a computer somewhere and do that. I don't know why he would. It would ruin everything about him. But the level of national security, which is entrusted right now with someone like Joe Rogan, is similar to the Speaker of the House. The top levels in the United States government. Podcasters are that powerful and the ones which are trusted to lead. Candace Owens may be kept in the dark on a few things. Maybe a lot of things, actually, just for her own benefit. In fact, sometimes you may, when working with someone like a Candace Owens, you may tell her, like, look, we can't tell you everything, but you're going to be well taken care of, but you have to say this, that, and the other thing. You can improvise a little bit, and we need you today, such as today on the Candace Owens show. Today, you need to talk slow, and every once in a while, turn up the sultry. But you have to be sad. You have to feel like you're heartbroken at the loss. You have to act like you are heartbroken, that you are realizing that the United States of America isn't what you thought it was, and it has no future. You have to act hurt. Like you talk like, imagine you saw your kids getting shot by an invading army, and how you would feel, and express those feelings on the air. And that's exactly what she did there. She's playing a role. I don't believe Charlie Kirk is dead at all. He was taken off stage. I don't believe the plan to take Charlie Kirk off stage was in effect before this year. Charlie Kirk did something that was unrepairable. In one of his podcasts, he ridiculed India. It's not that he called out Pakistan and said that the United States shouldn't get involved. Charlie Kirk ridiculed India in a show, and it's that simple. And the low masculine somewhere or another India crowd, someone got a bee in their bonnet and was so upset about it, and there was no going back. And they probably told him that, look, you got to take that back. I think Charlie Kirk might have actually said, why? What's the big deal? And then with September 11th coming around, someone turned it into an opportunity. Said, you know what, Charlie Kirk, this is what we're going to do. You're going to get a retirement package opportunity on September 10th, 2025. You're going to have your shooting faked. You'll be able to leave. Nice retirement package. Your parents will get to go with you wherever it is. And we have to do it because we need to get the narrative back about Israel and 9/11. You talking about India has started a chain of events, which is really bad. So they started to manufacture evidence, do Google searches out of India, get some Egyptian planes or whatever, and they started to manufacture the whole backstory. I don't believe the plan was for Charlie Kirk to go off the stage, but Charlie Kirk pissed off the worst possible person, India. Whatever powers are behind India and the UN. That's you can bash Jews, you can bash Muslims. You can say we should be afraid of Muslims. You could say we should be afraid of Jewish Zionists, Christian Zionists, white people. You can say black people get away with crimes, white people get away with crimes. You can call out Russians, Chinese, Mexicans, South Americans. You can call it everyone. You can't say anything bad about India. You can't even acknowledge the existence of India. India doesn't exist. 1 out of every 5 people in the world is in a category which cannot be mentioned. 1 out of every 5. I had the wrong number of fingers up, but I don't care. And so we'll start the quick show with a quick assessment. The decoder, what I said. Look at the things that Candace Owens is talking a lot about. Look at the hot keywords of the day and just do compound searches with India. And I'll keep it simple today. This whole thing, Egyptian planes, Egyptian planes, Egyptian planes, Egyptian planes. Saying it over and over and over again. Who's the manufacturer of the planes? Dassault. It's a French manufacturer who 2 years ago just announced that they are building a gigafactory in India. Well, Macron is a huge part of that deal, just like the other jet fighters, which are going to be manufactured in India for India security. Armenia, they also are going to be used. I don't know if it was Kyrgyzstan or what other nations. Azerbaijan is upset. Pakistan is not happy about the deal between France and India. All of these things are happening right now. And all Candace Owens will say is Egyptian planes, Egyptian planes, Egyptian planes. There are no Egyptian plane manufacturers. There's planes that may have Egyptian people in them, but there's no Samoan planes either. There's no Virgin Island planes. There's planes that go to the Virgin Islands. There's planes that can have people from the Virgin Islands on them. What the hell is an Egyptian plane? It's not like Egypt has, 1.5 billion people in it to oversee all the manufacturing and research and development and test of airplanes. Egypt is not a weapons manufacturer or a researcher. So you take what she says and you do the compound searches. And again, look now, do take it from there. Top news, CNN, Fox News are talking about Trump and Trump going to war now with Venezuela. Maybe China and India getting involved. I'm sorry, yet again, Modi, the prime minister, was just in Venezuela like a week ago. Venezuela is going to turn into a proxy war right now. And there's going to be, all of the balls are going to be being juggled between China, India, Russia, and the United States. And India has the population of the future. India has the world's fastest growing economy. And Venezuela is feeling very courted by by India right now. The missiles, which are going to be used if the United States decides to invade Venezuela or something like that, are going to be Russian missiles. No big surprise, because just 2 days ago, Putin did a visit, breaking the ice, going down to India. That was really about, all of these very complex, how would you say, international diplomacy issues which are ongoing right now. International, global, national security, however you want to throw the words into the blender, whatever comes out. This stuff is happening right now. And Candace Owens is just Egyptian planes. There are no Egyptian planes. But there are, top news. I mean, like global news right now is plane manufacturing in India involving a lot of French technology and where these things are going. There's also top international news right now about Pakistan being pissed that Donald Trump just snubbed, no, not Pakistan. Actually, India got pissed because Donald Trump said that the Pakistan planes in the recent skirmish between Pakistan and India actually performed very well. They use a lot of technology which comes from China. So all of this stuff is happening right now, but you miss it because Hollywood and the person playing the role of Candace Owens right now says Egyptian planes over and over and over and over again. So once again, and it will happen every day, take the Candace Owens show, do the compound search of the top word. Dassault, their future with those particular model planes in that family is making a big move to more manufacturing in India. The plants are already just about done. They're going to start pumping out 100 or 200 units or 1,000 units a year starting next year. Of course, again, Candace Owens' job is to never, ever say India. Just like the people who say Candace Owens is the best thing ever. Never say India. Because that's where the money comes from, India and the UN. I think the UN has been more or less bought out and controlled by India right now. So regarding Candace Owens, I had an article, and again, I have a hard stop at 9 o'clock, so I'm not even going to be able to finish this article here. Do I have that video opened up here still? It would be really good if I did, but I don't think that I do. I've covered how Jeffrey Sachs loves to be in Jeffrey Sachs for 30 years, 40 years. Jeffrey Sachs has been going to India and loving it. Of course he has. This is Jeffrey Sachs' job. He's been with the UN. Jeffrey Sachs' job with Shashi Tharoor and so on and other diplomats is to support India. He does not like the United States, and he has a very, he's more than happy to support India's position that it was a lab leak out of China. That's Jeffrey Sachs for you in a nutshell. Where does the money come from? It comes from India. It comes from India, and it comes from the UN, and it comes from other major investors and piles of money which have been investing in India. The Candace Owens show, which I highlighted yesterday, and I'm moving really fast because, again, I have a 9 o'clock stop here, which I showed yesterday. Candace Owens got a whole bunch of interview opportunities in 2019. Was it 19? Where's the video I had? Oh, gosh darn it. I just had it opened. Here she is with Alex Epstein. But in particular, it was Roseanne Barr. Now, Roseanne Barr is a much bigger player than I ever imagined, okay? She's not just a sitcom player who transitioned into podcasts because she also knows how to do stand-up. Roseanne Barr is a little bit like a Seinfeld. Roseanne Barr played a show called Roseanne, where she kind of played a version of herself, but not really. Roseanne, it kind of, in some ways, was an inspiration for Seinfeld. Don't forget that Roseanne Barr, the Roseanne show, not only did it have John Goodman, but more interestingly, it had George Clooney in it. George Clooney, who's showing up at all of these Armenia events. Vartan Gregorian, Naubar Effie, and the head of Moderna. They're always going to all of these great big galas with George Clooney, and George Clooney was on the Roseanne Barr show. So Roseanne Barr, shows up at presidential events. She's speaking at all kinds of talk shows. She shows up on the podcast. She has her own podcast. Roseanne Barr is a major influencer right now in culture. Joe Rogan show. Roseanne Barr is probably not just a guest. I think Roseanne Barr has been providing consultation on how this is going to get done. She's not a dumb person. Roseanne Barr, love her or hate her, I believe she is, people underestimate her capability and her intelligence. She's a pretty smart person. So Roseanne Barr being one of the main people that Candace Owens has been in the White House. Think of, by the way, Candace Owens, she had her business partner killed. Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and Candace Owens can't solve the crime. Candace Owens has spoken in the Senate. She doesn't know anybody. Candace Owens has spoke in front of the White House press secretary podium. She can't call anyone. Candace Owens has interviewed Pence and Trump. She can't call anyone. Candace Owens has been in the great big Oval Conference Room at the White House. She can't call anyone. Candace Owens is working with Roseanne Barr and Steve Bannon and heaven knows who else. Joe Rogan, she doesn't know anyone. Candace Owens knows everybody. That's the point. She knows everybody. There are probably U.S. representatives who have less access than Candace Owens does. There should not be a crime possible that Candace Owens couldn't make phone calls to help solve. Her job is to play a role. She plays the role of a young, hardworking, aspiring, attractive, loves to have children, married to a billionaire British guy, a black American who used to be liberal, but now she's conservative, and she's realizing how screwed up the United States was, and her heart is broken by it because no one will help her solve this assassination of her partner. She's playing a role in the Candace Owens show. As a matter of fact, they call the podcast the Candace Owens Show. Just like Seinfeld was called Seinfeld, just like Roseanne Barr was called Roseanne. It's people playing abstractions, versions of themselves. But it's not real. And just like, when you watch Roseanne, those aren't her 4 kids. She's a mom, but those aren't her 4 kids. You should not assume that Candace Owens is actually a mom married to a British billionaire who has 4 kids, who for some reason never gets fat, never has to take a break for nursing. She just shows up every day, perfect time, no problems, never upset, never loses a night of sleep. Like a freaking robot. Absolute perfection. That doesn't make any sense when you really think about it. It doesn't make any sense. That's not real life. That's not real life when you're struggling to do your podcast out of your basement. Now it's possible she has 8 kids. I don't know. What I'm saying is there's no reason. If you were to look me up on whitepages.com and do some genealogy on me, you should be able to figure out who my half-sisters are, who my parents are, the biological, the step-parents are. You should be able to learn about the loss that we've had. You should be able to learn about the different organizations I've been to. And you know what? That stuff's all true. My LinkedIn is accurate. You could do those family trees because I'm not playing Mark Kulak, the podcaster. I'm Mark Kulak. That's who I am. I'm pretty much the same person in real life. I try to get I try to make sure I have some energy for my show. I don't walk around the house all day, yelling about Steve Bannon and saying Joshua Lederberg is awesome. I'm not quite like that, okay? I know I need to compress a lot of things I want to say in a particular period of time, so that part is a little bit different. But other than that, this is me. This is the shirt I wore today. This is how my hair looked since this morning. This is me. I believe Jonathan Cooey, I've spent time with him. That's who he is. If you met him in real life, that's who he is. He's the same person. He's the same person. Maybe you condense a little bit of things he wants to say in a shorter period of time, but he's the same person. That's who he is. You should not assume Candace Owens is like that. And it's not unique to Candace Owens. It's all these people. And Hollywood has known this. So the article I wanted to show, it's really important. It is really important. Let's see here. Hopefully I don't have to struggle too hard to find it because, like I said, I do have a hard stop here. Let's see here. This is my Harvey Weinstein page. It was a... If it's not here, I'm going to have to just go to another page. Just hang in there. It's fine. Nope, it's not showing up. Although it should. Maybe it'll be easier if I go to the Krikorian page. Maybe I didn't save it or something. Here it is. It is a December 10th, 2006 article, Play It Again, Boys, from Time Magazine. It is a powerful article because in one article, it lists Kirk Kerkorian, this billionaire who worked with all of these Las Vegas people. He owned MGM for a while, which has the lion on it, and and it was bought by, almost bought by a couple of other investors, and they were trying to call it Lion's Gate. There is a Lion's Gate bridge, but I think it was in reference to the potential takeover of MGM and the lion. But anyways, it's Kirk Kerkorian, Harvey Weinstein, Steve Bannon. Harvey Weinstein, here it becomes clear that he received a lot of business advice from Kirk Kerkorian. Harvey Weinstein and Steve Bannon, using Steve Bannon Wall Street money, was a big part of working with Harvey Weinstein in the Miramax funding. We know Steve Bannon himself made, $100, $200 million with syndication of Seinfeld. So Steve Bannon has known about this reality podcasting now for years. And then let's not forget, you want to know about your 9/11 narratives? Well, one narrative about 9/11 is that George Bush had relatives who wanted to make money, and they were working with Saudis, and then there's Jews, and they wanted to make some money, so they didn't make some phone calls. They let the planes hit because they're greedy Jews, and there's greedy white people, and that's why 9/11 happened, and there's a great big cover-up. And that's the Michael Moore movie, which was funded by Harvey Weinstein, Fahrenheit 9/11. And then there's Steve Bannon. And Steve Bannon, there's Muslims, and Muslims have beards, and they get crabby because it's hot, and they walk around all day in their robes and their sandals, and they get guns, and they're terrorists because they're Muslims, and they came to the United States because the United States has communists and Democrats and Muslims are from Muslim world, and we need to be worried about Muslims, and they flew in the buildings, and that's why we had 9/11. And that's the Steve Bannon movie, Face of Evil. They came out within months of each other. There's your two choices of 9/11, both of which never mention India, both of which don't mention the reality that the Twin Towers only came down because of explosives. Total narrative control, total spectrum control, two people who were obviously collaborating and respecting each other to do billion-dollar business deals going all the way back to 2006. But in reality, when you start digging into Tarantino and Seinfeld, you will realize that Steve Bannon and Larry David know each other going all the way back to 1990. They've known each other. So why do I bring this point up? This article proves a working relationship between Kirk Kerkorian and other Hollywood producers and Harvey Weinstein and Steve Bannon. And in fact, Harvey Weinstein's Talk Magazine even hired Tucker Carlson to work on it. So Tucker Carlson and Harvey Weinstein go back to 1999. And that is a very valid point, which I'm going to knock you over the head with in just a moment. Because Kirk Kerkorian, I'm not reading chat tonight, I'm sorry. I really want to get this one done. This is just powerful stuff, okay? Kerkorian, very strange legal issue, where he married a woman, he had 4 wives, not all at the same time, his third wife, and upon their marriage, he married a tennis star who was 10, 20 years younger than him, and she was pregnant, and Kirk Kerkorian believed that it wasn't his child. So they needed to do a DNA test of the person who they thought who might have been the father. But that person, who was named Stephen Bing, who's worth $500 million, didn't want to volunteer his information. So Kerkorian, remember, biggest funder of Harry Reid, Nevada, then you just get straight into all of the fake nuke stories, etc. Krikorian hired a lawyer who then worked with some other private investigators, and they stole some dental floss from this Bing guy, and then they used that to use PCR tests to prove that his DNA was actually matched the child. And then they all settled out of court. That case was used at the Supreme Court level with respect to understanding the rules of engagement when it comes to DNA theft. It makes you wonder, like, if they had all that money, why can't they just settle that thing privately out of court? I think it's because it was all done as a show. It was the Krikorian, Lisa Border, I think her name was, or Bonder, and then Steve Bing. It was all a show to put it out there. And the attorney that they hired was a high-ranking attorney, Las Vegas attorney called Anthony Pellicano. And I have the article here about Anthony Pellicano. I've never heard the name before, but I think if people follow Hollywood-type stuff, they would have known about Anthony Pellicano. Well, this is a 2006 article of Pellicano, who eventually was arrested by the FBI. They raided his place. They found transcripts. He did a bunch of time in jail. He's still alive. He's like 80-something years old. Anthony Pellicano is also a lawyer for Roseanne Barr. Pellicano was hired by Roseanne Barr to handle her case, which I think also used DNA because she had a child when she was young, put a child up for adoption, and wanted to show that she was the parent. But it does not end there. Pellicano was also used by O.J. Simpson. He was also used in the Monica Lewinsky trial. He was also used in the he was hired by Hillary Clinton. I think she also worked with Harvey Weinstein. She also worked with, let's see here, Farrah. I think he might have actually had a partnership with Farrah Fawcett. He was even involved in the audio analysis of the Watergate tapes. And he was working with several business partners, including Kravitz or whatever Jeffrey Kratzenberg of Steve Bannon. In other words, one lawyer ties together almost every single person in Jonathan Cooey's It's All One Show heat map. One lawyer. One lawyer. But you will never know exactly what he talked about with anyone. Now, this lawyer is probably at the highest level of national security because I believe this lawyer understands or is aware of how all the podcasters get paid and all the secrets that the podcasters are told, when they're told it, how things like the Charlie Kirk assassination is pulled off, and it connects to everyone. Now, if you wanted to watch a video of Pellicano, which I have not watched yet, okay? Pellicano, by the way, is referred to in Harvey Weinstein, Tucker Carlson's magazine Talk. But if you want to watch a video of Anthony Pellicano, you're in luck. I haven't watched it yet, but there's a 1-hour interview of Anthony Pellicano by Tucker Carlson. Now, I don't know when this interview happened. I haven't watched it yet. You can just tell Tucker looks younger, but not too much younger. This was, what do you think? He's in his wood studio, his faux wood studio. He hasn't stuffed it yet with all of the stolen paraphernalia from a Cracker Barrel, sale. But there he is. And Anthony Pellicano here, he's going to be a little bit older. Let's see, there he is, Anthony Pellicano. One man connects Roseanne Barr, Harvey Weinstein, Tucker Carlson, Kirk Kerkorian, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky, and probably was involved in contracts of just about every other major name podcaster that you can think of directly or indirectly, because it's all one show. It's one orchestrated show. And oddly enough, not one of those people will ever mention India. And most of them will never even mention the United Nations either. Those topics are off limits. You can talk about NATO, you can talk about the Russian, the Ruskies, the Jews, the pedos. You can say Israel good, Israel bad. You can say China good, China bad. Russia good, Russia bad. India, never heard of them. Also, just about every single person on the heat map. What opioid epidemic? I never heard of such a thing. Oh, yeah, they settled that. So we can talk about something else right now. Strange because, India was built on opium. I know everyone loves to think about the opium wars in China. The opium came through India. And the United States is being mass murdered by opioids. And the only country that has it worse is Pakistan, India's worst enemy. Kind of strange that we have someone from India running the National Institutes of Health right now in the United States of America who is incapable of even acknowledging the existence of the opioid epidemic, to the point where he won't even acknowledge the dropping life expectancy, the death of many young people being caused by it. Candace Owens, like I said, the Candace Owens decoder, what does she talk about? And just do a compound search with India. Not every day, but more often than not. George Webb Show, Ukraine, missiles, Ukraine. Do compound searches of Ukraine and India. Holy cannoli, the things that you will find. George Webb will never mention India. He won't mention it. Doesn't exist. Not relevant. Not relevant. India's poor. They walk around in sandals and robes. Nothing to it. They're not sophisticated. They're stupid people. They're simple people. Don't think about it. I think Gandhi was the greatest psyop ever. If Gandhi showed up, all ripped with Jean-Claude Van Damme with money and a sports car, just like a sheik from Saudi Arabia would. Totally different story, but you show up frail. All I want is a little bit of broccoli. I've been praying all day in the sun. It's what an incredible psyop it is. It's so disarming. I just want peace. You can beat me to death with a stick. I'm just helpless. I'm so helpless that within 80 years, every major tech company in the United States of America is going to be run by someone from India, and we are going to have the dominating position on demographics in the future. I'm just so, oh my goodness, I got to get back to, just eating a little lava bean for, tonight. What an incredibly powerful psyop that was. No wonder why Hollywood put so much money into the Gandhi movie. And please get mad at that. Take that. Quote it, post it, say what a jerk this guy is. He shouldn't be so upset that opioids have killed so many young people, including his own son. They just let it go. You should be nice to people. You got to get over that whole opioid death thing. But I'm not letting it go. I can see it right now. So my plan is to read this whole article at some point. Anthony Pellicano. It's okay if you don't know the name. I haven't known the name either, because what it's doing is it's tying together the entire apparatus of control through podcast and social influence. And there's an opportunity. There's a little bit of daylight right now. There's a little bit of daylight shining through because of how bad it looks. That, within minutes, I can crack any Candace Owens show wide open. As a matter of fact, I just looked at the title today, and I already had it figured out before she started. I could have posted a video short at 5:02 and undercut the whole darn thing. I didn't, because I was working on some video images and OCR with this article here from 2006 in The Guardian. But we're just going to keep on going and keep on smashing this one right open. I ask right now, if you don't give money to me, which is okay, it would be helpful, but if you don't, and if you don't give money to Jonathan Cooey, PhD, I ask you of just one favor. Please cut all of your other subscriptions. Stop giving money to Substack. Stop giving money to every other channel that you subscribe to, aside from, sadly, mainstream media sources that you might be in the business of using for research and archival. They exist not to make money because they need money. They're already paid with money that's been, created, just spun up out of thin air, and then digitally untraceable through PayPal. They don't need your money. What they need, their job is to make sure that they get your money before I do. I can keep surviving as it is. But I don't want you to lose the resources that you have. Keep them. Give them to your kids. Heck, give them to the local charity, the food shelter, your church, whatever. Give it to a pet shelter. Don't give it to George Webb. For God's sakes, don't do that. Sorry about the blasphemy. Don't do it. Don't give it to Candace Owens. Don't give it to Robert Malone, Substack, Sasha Latapova. Those are there just as gravy money, but the main reason that they have those is to make sure Jonathan Cooey and myself don't get anything. I would rather us not get anything than for you to waste your money on them. And you will see, no matter how little people give, they'll keep on going because the money's going to keep on coming one way or the other out of the ether. They're paid national security actors filling roles. Okay, I have a hard stop for my family. I have hours of stuff I could just cover tonight, but I think that's enough to get the general point across. And you guys have a great one. Behave yourselves. Stay positive. Don't waste your money on state-paid national security actors paid with untraceable digital money. Encourage your friends to stop giving them money. Love you very much. God bless.